If you're looking for one of the top reasons you're going to fail, it's because you got too comfortable. Hey, welcome back to another Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And today we are going to talk to you about why comfort is the thing that will kill your business. And
Comfort kills.
Comfort kills. And don't bring the hot chick from the club back to
Hopefully you'll never hear that take of what we were talking about, because it was awful.
It was the best take ever. It was a hot take, like Jim Rome.
He didn't like, we tried to do
it. Was Jim Rome's hot take.
We tried to do a Mickey take, too. Mickey and
Jim
Rocky
Rome's kind
3.
of an idiot, by the way. The Mickey was good. I just didn't know you were doing Mickey. That was the problem with it.
My impression was
it was
really,
good,
my
but
impression was really terrible.
Great.
Rocky
Awesome.
3, when he goes in the 10, he's defending his title, and he finds out none of the fighters are any good. Clubber Lang calls him out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I knew what you were doing. I knew what you were trying to do. It just, wasn't great.
Let's get into it.
It's better than what I tried to do.
Jim Rome. There was some freaking great Jim Rome back in the day.
He had moments, and
was
then
in the late 90s, maybe.
Now it's so bad.
I can't remember.
So bad. He's on CBS. He's got like a show on CBS.
He was so great. The original Jim Rome show was
the original one where they had the callers and they did the
have a take.
The competition thing they did. That was cool.
My God,
that was cool.
All right, I wish I could do a Jim Rome. I can't think of it. So long ago now. I used to be able to do like at least a serviceable.
As good as your Mickey one, which was not good.
No, it wasn't even a great impression, but like say the things that Jim Rome said,
right?
That everybody knew because we were all listening with sports at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. Comfort kills. Why does comfort kills?
We do that.
Why does comfort kill, Brian?
I think, it's what we all strive for, right? I mean, the reality is, I think all of us are trying to get to a point in our company where we just feel comfortable. It'd be great when we don't have the stress of the startup and trying to, get to the break-even point. And then and then it's like, all right, and we get there. And they're like, it might be great when we get to, if we can get to $1 million in revenue, things will be really good. And so what happens when you hit that point sometimes is you breathe and you settle, or you have comfort can be a lot of different things. You have a product you're going to launch. So you go through all this work and you put it together, product, service, whatever it is, and then you launch it, and then all right, great, we're there. We did the thing, we accomplished the thing, we launched it. And today we're going to kind of dig into 3 blunt force facts that are imperative for business owners as long as they intend to be continuing to grow, continuing to innovate, continuing to move forward, that revolve around comfort. And
we talk a lot about continuous improvement. So that means we're never done. I was just thinking about, as you were saying that, one of the things about being a contractor that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you get to that point, you get to just bounce.
True. Yeah.
If you're running the business, you can't be like that.
Right.
You can't be just comfortable and be like, all right, we did it, great, and then just stop. But as a contractor, sometimes my job is to get you to that point and launch or accomplish, and then I get to leave and put it on my website. So, yeah, we did that. Yeah,
throw the testimonial up there. Yeah, that's true. A contractor versus W-2 debate up over again.
I was just thinking about it while you were saying it. It's like sometimes that's actually my cue to leave. It's like you leave on a high.
Right. Yeah,
I'm out of here. Good night.
Yeah.
Whereas a business, you can't do that.
Right.
The comfort's going to kill you.
Well, you can't, but frequently people do. And I think that we can even think of times when we have, right?
It definitly happened to me.
Yeah.
I freaking maybe just lived it. Maybe
this morning.
No, not this morning. Not this morning. But in the past year, 2023, to a certain extent. Second half of 2023, which we shouldn't date the video, but we just did.
It's okay. So blunt force fact number 1, as we dig into the concept of comfort, is growth comes from pain, and pain is discomfort. There can be no growth without putting yourself in a position where you aren't very comfortable, whether that be like a financial comfort, experiencing some financial pain and deciding to invest time or money in a project, whether it be delving into a market segment that you are not comfortable with, right? Like you're like, I think we're going to do some research here, and I think there's a lane here, but we're going to dip our toe in that, and all of a sudden now we're in this space where we have some anxiety.
Well,
some
innovation
worries.
is hard too, because if you're trying to come up with the next thing, you are inevitably going to fail, right? There's inevitably going to be a night or two you're up all night just brainstorming. And then there's going to be things that you put out there that they're going to fail. You know, and it's like, depending on the level that you're at in your life and your business, that failure could really hurt you. You know, the failure could hurt you psychologically. It could be a lot of money for your company, right? It's like we put a lot of money into that and it was a failure. You know, that innovation process. But like you get that back if you get it right and then some. But that is painful. It's hard, you know?
You have to be smart and you have to be thoughtful and laid out in the discomfort you decide to go into.
Right.
And I think
You don't
that's a
want to
great
destroy
point.
your business.
Right. That's a great point. But I would, without a doubt, as an entrepreneur, if you say, you know, if you get started and you find like you don't like this space of discomfort, like you don't like being there, you might be in the wrong thing.
You might not be a good entrepreneur.
Or not even good, because you could be great at it. But if you don't like that feeling of, man, my anxiety is always through the roof when we go into when we have to think of something new or reinvent it or improve it. Well, your anxiety is probably going to be through the roof forever if you're going to do this right and continue to grow it. Because small companies, big companies, the ones that end up finding that slide, it's 100% because they just get comfortable. And as we were doing this, we did a little research. And we'll talk about this a little more later, about 4 million new business applications a year come through the United States approval, business approval realm. That's four.
It's Clubber Lang calling out Rocky at the Philadelphia celebration. His trophy ceremony, his statue ceremony.
What did he say? Put you on the spot.
Called the spot for the Clubber Lang.
Yeah. What do you?
Balboa, why are you ducking me? Something like that.
It was like that. It was like that.
And he calls out his wife.
Right.
Woman, you ever been with a real man? I'll show you what a real man
That was
is
a
like.
great line, by the way. It was a great line. Did you see, quick break from the topic, did you see the little...
documentary about chimpanzees?
Nope, that was good.
Call back.
But did you see the kid, he's probably about 9 or 10, who met Sylvester Stallone at his statue and recited the whole thing that he did from like Rocky 17 or one of the later ones where he's telling his son like the world's going to beat him down. He's gonna get back. You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, look that up. You'll love it on social media. There's a 10-year-old that memorized the thing and spits it to Sylvester Stallone and like word for word.
Well, Rocky 3 is, you're making fun of my Mickey impression, which is not going to be recorded, unfortunately, but the beginning of the movie, he's on this like ridiculous run of defending his title, and Clubber Lang's coming up through the rings. It's like, he's like you said, right? He's just comfortable, right? And the reason why Mickey doesn't want Rocky to take the fight is because he's become comfortable and he's not going to be tough enough for Clubber Lang. Right. He's afraid of it. I think that's we do a lot on fatherhood. So if you go back and listen to our fatherhood stuff, a lot of it is we don't want our children to be in stress and have their life and health at risk. But if they don't face any adversity, they're not going to be good people. Right. We can't just let them, as much as like, okay, now we're doing better than our parents did. That means our kid's going to do better than our parents did. But our kid needs to have some adversity to go through. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to deal with the world. Right. So what do? We find opportunities to put them into areas where they might fail. We find opportunities where they have to tackle some adversity. Some of that might be entering them into sports or whatever it is. Yep. Right. So they can learn some life lessons. They can learn about losing and winning and working hard, because otherwise, if they're just sitting around, they're comfortable, they can be terrible people. But that's what we're trying to say in the business world too. It's like you have to take on challenging things constantly. And when you do that, when you take on challenges, it's going to hurt. It might hurt you psychologically. It might make put your team in stress. Right. But that's where all the growth, you never hear about these innovative companies that just sat around. Right. It's like Elon Musk famously sleeps on the floor of his production facility, right? Like that's not freaking fun. Right. That's
True.
like, that's uncomfortable. Right. And you get to the point where he got, you can say what you want about him, but he strips down the company to its basics and puts those people under stress. Who can handle this stress? Right. Who can handle it? Obviously there's ways to do it that are healthier than others, but you need that diversity. You need that for your team. You need that to grow. As soon as you get comfortable and you're just kind of stopping, we'll talk about it more in the other ones. That's when your company can cease to exist, can get passed by the competition, the hungrier people.
Yeah.
You need to have that discomfort.
Constantly striving for discomfort.
You need to find it in a healthy way.
Yes.
Find something for your company to do that is going to be difficult.
And if there's nothing
build
on the
skills in your team,
if there's nothing on the horizon right now, then go back into what you thought you did well a year ago, 2 years ago, right? And re-examine it.
yeah.
Because
How did we get here? What did we do to get here?
Yeah. Yep.
Is there something replicable in that?
Absolutely. I love it. And I will say every single video we do can be exemplified in one of the 47 Rocky movies. It is a mandate in my household that all the kids have to watch every Rocky movie. We actually own the box set on DVD.
He doesn't know any of the references, though.
I know the references. I know the references. I like to just call you out on them. You're very good at word for word, verbatim movie recitation.
Until you go back and look, did Clubber Lang really say that?
Did he really say that? Make it up.
Nicky say
well,
that?
it sounds, when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But that's that.
What's that? The Mandela effect.
Exactly.
All right, so let's move on to blunt force fact
Big words
number 2.
today for Patrick. Blunt force fact number 1, growth comes from discomfort. Blunt force fact number 2, if you don't use it, you lose it. Luckily, I use it all the time.
That's a great in the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
See, here we
Sorry,
go.
another movie reference. And they're in the group. Whenever there's group therapy in a movie, that's always like one of the best scenes in the movie. Group therapy.
Group therapy.
And they're talking about, it's like a parent and child talking about, good attitudes about sex and questions about sex, because you're apparently in with these, the kids are virgins, but secretly Steve Carell's character is a virgin too.
Right.
He says something like, he's like, when they're asking, ask anything, you know what I mean? Like it's the safe zone, right? It's a safe space for you to ask anything. Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it? I'm like, everybody just looks at him like he's a freaking idiot. Sorry, it was a bad departure.
No, it's all right. Sorry.
If you don't use it, you lose it. And we brought it, like, if you don't exercise those muscles that brought you like, if you, there was actually a good meme. It was Christian Bale, and he's done some later stuff now where, he's Batman, right? And he's freaking super, he's like our assistant, right? He's buffed up, right?
Yeah.
He's freaking worked out. He's got a huge chest. And then he does some stuff where he's like overweight. He's got a freaking massive belly. And the meme was Christian Bale as like Batman was like 1 year of working hard, really, really hard for a year. And then the one underneath him with the big belly was one cheat day. And like, that's what it is,
That
right?
is
If you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
If you don't work out, you don't just stay muscular.
Right.
You get less muscle. You atrophy.
Right.
Those things that you were doing, you work out so that your muscles get stronger so that they can take on more work.
Yeah.
But if you don't do the work anymore, then your muscles are like, all right, well, we're just going to retreat.
Right.
The muscles get weaker because they don't need to be strong anymore. So like, this isn't comfortable for me to be strong. I'm going to just kind of like relax, and the muscles atrophy, and now you can't do anything anymore. It's the same thing as in your working environment. Like, if you're not competitive, if you're not innovating, if you're not, if your team isn't working hard to accomplish something, you get worse at it. You don't get the same, you don't stay the same.
How many employees leave a job, and we can all relate to this, and if you're friendly with them and you say they're like, it's too easy. It doesn't challenge me anymore. I can do it with my eyes closed. So I don't really put a lot of the effort in that I used to, because I don't have to. Right? I don't have to. And so I look at that as very much a top-down problem. If you're not making your people feel challenged, feel engaged, giving them something to strive towards, and granted, it's not going to work with every single employee, but it definitely starts from the top. And when we get to a point where we're like, all right, this works. It's okay. This works. You know, this is doing okay. And we're not thinking about how we're innovating, our meeting today that we're having, it is all, it's all about that. It's all about, okay, we've been doing this. How can we make this better and integrate this to stay as invested, to stay as motivated, and to look to create a little discomfort.
We talk about in reflection and continuous improvement a lot.
Yes.
Right. So we're going to embark on some reflection that we've been doing. We've been in a little bit of I wouldn't say it's far from a rut, but we've been in like a consistent period where it's like we put a plan in place, we put the plan together. Now we go back and we look and see, how did we do? And our job now is to see what can we do differently and what did we do well and to work on it. But if we just keep doing that, then you're just going to see these diminishing returns, right? It's the law of diminishing returns, right? It's like if you just keep doing the same thing, you get worse at it, right? Over time. And it could be relatively, but it's usually just because like the quality of output just isn't as good if you keep doing things over and over and over again.
And I definitely felt it last 2 weeks ago when we filmed, and we came in here and everything was clockwork. We came in here, Shannon had the room set up in a matter of seconds. You sat down, we were prepared,
Right, I was under a tight time frame.
You were at a tight time frame, and we got after it, and we were, we just would hit it. We're done. Walked away, and it was too easy.
Right.
And I think those are like when you feel that. Now, with this blunt force fact, if you don't use it, you lose it. You're focusing right now internally. Like you need to continually be looking at like, are we doing the same thing that got us here? Are we creating those moments of discomfort and innovation and reflection that got us here? And in that moment, I felt too comfortable. I felt like shit. I was, that if it's getting that easy, there's probably something we can do better.
Right. You have to use that. You have to flex those muscles, whether those muscles are creativity, whether they're competitive, whether they're public speaking, right? Whether they're writing, whatever those muscles are, whether they're building something, right? It's like you have to like, if you think about like somebody who like is in like a more blue collar position where they're the electrician, they're the master electrician, they're the master builder, they're a carpenter, they build things, and then they become a manager, right? And they're doing it less often. It's like they got to get their hands dirty sometimes, otherwise they're going to lose that. They're not going to be able to continue to do it.
Right.
Right. And that's probably a bad thing. It's like what happens if you lose somebody? They got to go back in there and do it again. Same thing like in any position, any job, right? You've got someone working under you. Now all of a sudden you lose that person. They leave for whatever reason, for a good reason, right? They have to move or whatever, whatever reason. And now you have to step in for a second and cover for them. Do you still have those skills?
Right.
They're probably not as good as they were before.
Right.
So you got to constantly work out those skills. You have to keep working out with those muscles. Otherwise those muscles are going to atrophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A good buddy of mine who oversees a bunch of physical therapy clinics, and he still will make sure he does like patient work. Not as much. Right. But he does patient work because at the end of the day, if he's going to be guiding and training and overseeing, he needs to be able to at least be comfortable with the delivery modalities. Yep. If you don't use it, you lose it. So make sure you're using it.
Comfort kills.
Absolutely. Which leads us to a third blunt force fact, which is actually a little out of my comfort zone, because I'm very much an internal locus of control person, right?
An internal locus of control?
Yes. Well, we're using big words today. I like to,
It's a small word, but it's a big word.
Yeah, it's a big concept, I guess. I like to focus everything on, if I can't control it, then fuck it. I will pay little attention to it. I don't want to hear about it. Like, I want to focus back on what I can control in those settings. But this is about what's out of your control, but it's recognizing it's there. So blunt force fact number 3 is you snooze, you lose. And we mentioned it earlier. There's about 4 million companies every year that are applying for a new business license. So what does that mean? Well, yeah, clearly they're not all in your lane, but it means that somebody is coming into your space, and probably many thousands of people are coming into your space with the passion that you started with, and to innovate and are thinking new and are thinking better. They already know about what you do more than likely and how you do it. And their only reason they're jumping in is because they probably think they can do it better.
And the marketplace is constantly changing too. So it might not just be the same exact thing. It might be a different thing, right? We constantly talk about, Netflix and Blockbuster because we grew up through it.
Well, you did. I'm a lot younger.
Yeah. I mean, when Brian's been he's one of those like Gen Z who doesn't remember the world before the internet, but I'm Gen X. And I remember the world before the internet. I remember going to Blockbuster Video, and Blockbuster Video, obviously, they had it wrapped. They had it wrapped. If the world was still doing VHS, Blockbuster would still be in business.
Oh,
but as soon as
the
they
best.
moved,
Friday nights going there with your friends and
DVDs and streaming, Netflix came in with a proposal. They said, "Hey, we want to run streaming for you. We want to come in and run the internet business." And Blockbuster was like, "No." And Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore, right? So that's the if you snooze, you lose. If you don't innovate, you're going to not just not get better. You're going to lose. Actually,
Yeah.
I was in a meeting yesterday in a local coffee shop, kind of empty.
Yep.
Would have been busy back in the day, kind of empty, kind of old school.
Yep.
Right across the street, new coffee shop being built. That's called like Society with like modern letters and stuff like that. And you just know mom and pop might be in trouble.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the new, what do the kids want? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not the kids. I mean, the kids, like the kids in the suburban environment are the 30-something-year-olds who now have a home, have now moved in. They don't want to go to mom and pop's place anymore. They want to go to something that relates more to them, right? So if you snooze, you lose. It's not just you don't get better. The competition actually takes your business. So are you sitting over there in the locus of whatever?
Yeah, no, I think
the locus.
I don't think we have to expound a lot more on that. The only reason I feel that way is because it's pretty straightforward. The reality is, everything points to it.
What can we do to avoid the snoozing and losing?
I think you go back to blunt force fact number 1 and 2 is you always have to recognize that when you're doing well, but the world isn't sitting still. So what you're doing well, and I felt this recently with a program that I had developed. So we developed a veteran program for business startup. And I developed that program probably about 2 years ago, maybe even a little longer. And I've made adjustments and improvements to it throughout, right? Like added this to it, added that to it, made it a little more robust, more takeaways, whatever. But at the end of the day, the program's still the same. And the last time I ran it, it ran well, just like it always does. But I started to feel like, am I sitting in the comfort zone with this?
Right.
And do I need to rethink the way, because to back it up, from when people started to consume this program was right about pre-COVID time, like right in that range, right? So pre-COVID is when we started to deliver it. Now, post-COVID, to date the video, but post-COVID, we're still delivering it. And so much has changed with educational delivery in that time. And granted, I believe in the program, but think about everything that's happening in the world around us technology-wise. And are we leveraging that appropriately? If we took this whole thing and we integrated more of what's going on and redid it, would I be front and center again?
Right.
Would the program still have the allure that I feel does? Or you ask the question: does the program still have the allure 3 years later? And the question is, or is someone else coming behind me and using everything right now, like creating a program right now
Create
today
something for the modern world?
Yep, today, right now. And because they're building it from the ground up, they're grabbing all this stuff that maybe wasn't there 3 years ago. Do I need to redo it? And that's so we face the same questions that we posed with you, but it's being able to understand and recognize someone's always coming after you, right? If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. Ricky Bobby. Rubbing ain't racing, right?
I don't remember that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Watch the movie.
I see that movie all the time,
damn it.
too.
Yeah.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah. But the reality is you always have to remember that. The market is not stagnant. It will never be stagnant. If you're stagnant, someone is looking at this differently and probably better and probably fresher. And that new coffee shop is going to do the same shit. It's going to brew coffee. But it understands that there's this different little thing that the market is shifted towards that you no longer are. And they're probably going to hit it. They're probably going to hit it because they are coming at it from a ground up, and you haven't taken the time to break your walls down, throw the shit out, and start over because you got too comfortable.
And this is the time to hit the pause button from a business perspective, right? So you're going to hit the pause button, and you're going to do what they've been probably teaching since the 80s or the 70s at business school, which is you're going to do a SWOT analysis, right? You're going to go through and you're going to see, what are we doing well? What's not going so well? What could we be doing based on the opportunities that are out there in the marketplace that are not there now, that weren't out there when we started this program? And then what are the threats? Who are the competitors? Or is the fact that we're not doing something relevant going to hurt us and bite us in the ass, right? So you're putting a pause on, you're going to reflect, and you're doing this in your business with your team. And you're saying, okay, well, right, great job, guys. What's next? What do we really got to do better? We know we do things well, and it's working. We're making money. We're surviving. We're not just surviving. We're growing. We're doing well. What do we need to do? What's coming on the horizon that we can be first on? And then how do you do these things? It's hard. One thing is you put the pause button, because if you don't put the pause button on, you have to take your reflection. We've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
You have to press pause, right? We're at Blockbuster. We got the VHS, the VCR, pressing pause.
Data.
Right, exactly. We're pressing pause and we're reflecting. We're going back and say, okay, well, and we're trying to do the best we can. And this might be where you might need to bring in younger people.
Yep.
You might need to bring in a consultant. This is one of the things I argued from having the contractor was that when you have a contractor, they're working on multiple projects. They might be out in the world more. Whereas if you have just a team of just people who've just been hunkered down with for 2 years, then none of them have been outside to kind of experience and figure out what else is
what
out
other
there.
companies are doing.
Yeah,
too.
you got to bring
Right,
you got to bring people in. You might hire somebody from another company. What are they doing?
Right.
This is like a big thing of football. It'd be you'd bring in
the defensive
Patriots
coordinator.
They bring in they bring in a player from the other team.
Yeah.
They immediately say what are they doing?
Right.
What's their playbook look like? What are their calls? What are their signals? Right. And that's just another thing you got to do. But the key takeaway is you have to have these moments of reflection where you are looking for these opportunities to grow, looking for these opportunities to challenge your team, get uncomfortable again, and you have to do it almost artificially, because at the beginning it's all what you have to do just to get off the ground.
Yep.
If you don't do it, there's no business. But now, if you don't do it, you might still have a business. So you have to figure out, how do we become uncomfortable again? What can we do without destroying what we have? But you have to do it. It has to be intentional. It can't just be something that happens by mistake, by accident. You want to plan it out.
Yeah. I love it. Good one.
Good one. This is a good one.
Comfort kills.
Comfort kills. It's a good one, even though you're dead. Even though it killed you.
Even though it kills you dead. Blunt force fact number 1: growth comes from pain.
The comfort is gonna kill you. Comfort is gonna kill you. Comfort is gonna kill you.
Blunt force fact number 2: if you don't use it, you lose it.
You don't use it, you lose it. Is it true? If you don't use it, you lose it?
It's true. Yeah. And blunt force fact number 3: you snooze, you lose. Your competition is always coming after you.
You're losing a lot. You're getting killed. You're losing. Mm-hmm. Just got to stay on top of that shit.
A lot of death. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Until next time.
Thank you.